My wife went to work in a new office, but when I saw the list of employees, I realized I had to act. And quickly. Please read this all the way through, because by the end, you're going to question what you would have done. It started with a name on a list and ended with a decision that shattered everything I thought I knew about loyalty, marriage, and what it means to protect the people you love. I'm Tyler, 36, male, and I know the exact moment my stomach hit the floor like someone ripped it out with a claw hammer. It was a Tuesday. I remember because I was heating up leftover chili in our crappy office microwave, waiting for my wife Lauren, 34, to text me back. She'd just started a new job the week before at this architecture firm downtown. Fancy place, glass everything. She was excited, giddy even. Said it felt like a fresh start, which was good. God knows we needed one. We'd been in a weird place lately. Not quite unhappy, but dulled. 10 years of marriage will do that if you're not careful. Add 2 kids under 8, bills we juggle like circus clowns, and a string of minor arguments that somehow always end in, "I'm just tired, okay?" And yeah, we weren't exactly thriving. But this job, she said it felt like breathing after being underwater. She got home each day glowing, talking about design culture and sustainable builds, and some guy named Riley who ran the projects like a genius madman. I was genuinely happy for her, or I was trying to be. Anyway, the chili was just starting to bubble when I got the email. It wasn't even meant for me. My buddy Greg, who handles IT over at the same firm Lauren just joined, had forwarded it by accident. Subject line: updated team roster, main office plus field staff. I was about to delete it, but then I saw a name. One name that hadn't touched my ears in 11 years. Darren Monroe. I stared at it like it was a live grenade. My breath went shallow and I forgot all about the chili burning in the microwave. Darren fucking Monroe. If you've ever had someone try to burn down your life while smiling at you the entire time, you know who Darren is. Back when Lauren and I were first dating, Darren was her close friend. That guy who just happens to be around whenever she needed to vent, or celebrate, or drink, or cry. He'd show up at our parties, at her birthday, at our apartment when I was working late. I told myself I was overthinking. I wasn't. He confessed feelings to her once. She told me, said she turned him down, swore nothing had ever happened. But after that night, she stopped mentioning him entirely. I asked about him a few times, where he went, if they were still friends. And she always said some version of, "We drifted. It wasn't healthy." And now, he's listed 2 names below hers on the new company roster. Senior designer, same floor, same office. I wanted to puke. Not just because he was back, but because she didn't tell me. That wasn't just an omission. That was a loaded gun, cocked and hidden in the dresser drawer. When she got home that night, I didn't say anything. I watched her unpack her lunchbox, kiss our daughter's forehead, and laugh when our son spilled applesauce on the dog. She looked normal, too normal, like someone playing the role of the perfect mom, perfect wife, perfect coworker. She made pasta. We sat, we ate, we did bedtime. And then I waited until we were alone in the bedroom, lights off, silence thick enough to choke on. And I asked, "Is Darren Monroe working at your office?" I heard her breath hitch before she answered. That half second was enough. My heart plummeted through the mattress. "Yeah," she said softly. "I didn't want to bring it up. I thought you'd get the wrong idea." That right there? That was the moment something inside me cracked. Not shattered. Cracked. Like a windshield spidering under pressure. I didn't sleep that night, but I did start planning. Because whatever this was, it wasn't innocent. And I had to act. Fast. That night, I laid there next to her, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding like a war drum while she breathed softly beside me, like she wasn't hiding a goddamn landmine under our bed. I kept replaying that pause, that tiny breath before she said, "Yeah," like her brain had to spin up a lie and then veered off last minute. That's not how someone says, "Oh yeah, total coincidence, no big deal." That's how someone scrambles, calculates, and decides just how much to give away. By morning, I was already spiraling, but silently. I didn't want to fight, not yet. I wanted information, so I texted Greg, casual. "Hey man, that roster you sent, Darren Monroe, is he new?" Greg responded in seconds. "Nah, Darren's been there like a year and a half. He just got moved to her team when they reshuffled last week." A year and a half? A year and a fucking half. She didn't just bump into Darren at her new job. He was already there. She applied, got hired, interviewed, knowing he was there. Never said a word. That turned something cold in my chest, like my lungs were icing over. I called in sick that day, dropped the kids at school like normal, kissed them goodbye with a smile I had to force, then drove back home and sat at the kitchen table trying not to shake. And because I couldn't stop myself, I started digging. I knew her laptop password. It was our anniversary date. Cute, right? At least it used to be. Emails, Slack messages, calendar invites. I told myself I was just confirming a suspicion, not betraying trust. But let's be honest, I didn't trust her anymore. Not after this. Most of it was professional, meetings, team updates, workflow spreadsheets. But then I found the folder, Lunch and Learns, dozens of invites, all group events. But Darren's name showed up in almost every one. And in the comments on some of the shared docs, they bantered, like old times. One comment from Darren, "Lauren's the only person here with taste." "Sorry, not sorry." Another from her, "I'm always right. You just finally caught up, just enough to piss me off, not enough to be proof." So I kept looking. Then I found a text thread. Her phone had synced to the laptop months ago, just one backup copy still stored in iCloud from before she switched off autosync. And there it was, a string of messages. Nothing overtly sexual, but intimate. Him, "Remember the rooftop on 5th? Still the best night of my life." Her, "You're impossible. That was forever ago." Him, "Doesn't mean I forgot." Her, "Let's keep things easy, okay? I don't want drama." Him, "You know I wouldn't cause trouble, just miss talking to you like that." And the one that made my whole body go cold. Her, "If I weren't married, this would be a very different conversation." I sat there, staring at that line for so long my eyes started to blur. If I weren't married, she said that. She typed that. That wasn't someone shutting down a man from her past. That was someone dancing on a line, daring it to blur. I closed the laptop and just sat there, shaking. My hands, my legs, my voice, everything buzzing like a storm was building inside me. I wasn't just betrayed, I was humiliated. And worst of all, I knew Lauren. I knew how she rationalized things. She'd say it was harmless. Just words, no intent. She didn't cheat, technically, but I knew that tone. That voice in those messages. She was thinking about it. She was fantasizing about a world where she wasn't married to me. And I realized then, she'd already emotionally crossed a line. Maybe not with her body, but definitely with her heart. I picked up my phone and started making a list, not of what she'd done, but of what I was going to do next. The list started simple, more like a brain dump, really. Bullet points of my spinning thoughts. The kind you jot down when your whole body's buzzing from rage and adrenaline. Talk to Greg again. Check her calendar more closely. Do not confront yet. Watch. Observe. Protect the kids. Record everything. I wasn't planning to go nuclear, not yet, but I needed leverage. I needed truth that couldn't be argued away with her soft voice and tired eyes and, "You're overreacting, babe." I knew how Lauren operated. If I came at her directly, she'd spin it. Twist the narrative. She was good at that. She had this way of making me feel like the villain for simply asking questions. So I waited. For 5 days, I played the doting husband, packed the kids' lunches, picked up groceries, made dinner. She didn't suspect a thing. She was even affectionate, kissed my cheek while folding laundry, sent me a meme about old married couples, and captioned it, "Us in 40 years." Meanwhile, I was checking our shared Google Calendar like a hawk, and on Thursday, I saw it. Team Happy Hour, O'Malley's, 5:30 p.m., with Darren's name in the invite list. I didn't say a word, just nodded when she kissed me goodbye that evening, said she'd probably be home late, don't wait up. I waited up, but not at home. I parked 2 blocks away from O'Malley's and walked in around 6:45. After I knew they'd be a few drinks deep, I stayed near the bar, out of sight, back turned, just watching in the mirror behind the bottles. And there she was, sitting beside Darren. Not across, beside, their bodies angled inward, drinks in hand. She wasn't touching him, but she wasn't not touching him either. Her knee was just barely grazing his. He leaned in to say something. She threw her head back laughing, then put her hand on his arm, just for a second, but long enough. I couldn't hear them, didn't need to. I took a photo, one clear shot, her smiling at him like he was still the center of her goddamn world, the same smile she used to give me. Then I walked out, fast, heart pounding, chest tight. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even lie down. I sat in my workshop staring at that photo, and I realized something brutal. She missed him, not in a passing nostalgic way. She missed the version of herself she got to be around him. The girl with big dreams and rooftop secrets and no kids waking her up at 3 a.m. And I was the reality she settled for, the stable life, the husband who fixed the sink and picked up dog poop in the yard and folded her underwear without complaint. I was the quiet safety net she fell into when dreams turned into bills and bedtime stories. I'd been her consolation prize for a decade, and now he was back. So the next morning, I made a new list. This one had a title, Extraction Plan, because I wasn't going to beg, or plead, or accuse. I was going to disappear from her life in the most unignorable, unforgettable way. But first, I needed to see just how far she'd go. So I baited the trap. I laid the bait like a man lighting a fuse, carefully, calmly, knowing exactly when it would blow. That Saturday, I told her I had to drive upstate to visit my uncle, who'd just had surgery. It wasn't a lie. He did have surgery, but I wasn't going anywhere near him. I kissed her goodbye at 9 a.m., thanked her for holding things down with the kids, and said I'd be back Sunday night. Then I doubled back. I parked my car 2 streets over, ducked into the backyard, and let myself into the shed with the old keypad lock I knew she never remembered existed. From that moment on, I was a ghost. I had snacks, water, a portable charger, and a signal booster. My phone on silent, volume off. I disabled location sharing. I even brought a blanket for the floor. I know it sounds insane. Hell, I felt insane. But I needed to know, not guess. Not suspect. No, because you can't set someone on fire with half a match. You need the full flame. Around 2 p.m., I got the alert. Front door opened. Then, 15 minutes later, I heard it. Laughter. His voice. Darren's voice. Distinct. Low and smug, the same way it used to sound on our voicemail back in the day, when he called her just to check in. They were in the house. My house. I turned on the hidden camera app. Months ago, when I'd helped install a new baby monitor system, I'd added a second camera in the living room, one she never noticed because it was buried in the bookshelf. I watched the feed, volume muted. Just picture. They walked in like they owned the place. Shoes off, drinks in hand. She led him to the couch, laughing about something. They sat close. Too close. She wasn't cheating. Not yet. But every gesture, every glance, every leaned-in whisper, her body was saying things her mouth hadn't dared to. They talked for hours. At one point, she got up, brought snacks. Then they watched a movie. Our favorite movie. The one we'd played on repeat the first year we dated. She even quoted it once, and he laughed like it was his memory. At 8:37 p.m., he left. No kiss, no touch, just a long hug by the door. But the look in her eyes as he walked out, hope, hunger, guilt. I stayed in the shed that night, didn't sleep, just watched the feed loop in my head like a film reel spooling toward madness. And here's the worst part, the actual gut-stabbing part. I didn't hate her. I hated myself for seeing it coming for years and doing nothing, for brushing off the way she'd talk about Darren like he was some unfinished chapter, for thinking love meant trusting someone even when they kept secrets in their smile. By Sunday morning, I'd made up my mind. No confrontation, no shouting match. I was going to hit her where it hurt most. Her image, her family, her illusion of being the loyal, gentle wife in control of everything. Because Lauren, bless her, had a secret even bigger than Darren. One that would crack her entire life open like an egg dropped on concrete. And Reddit? It was time to cook. Update. Hey everyone. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. I'm seriously overwhelmed reading all your comments and DMs. Thank you to everyone who said I wasn't crazy for going full spy mode. Turns out sometimes your gut is the only sane thing in the room. A few of you asked, why not just confront her with the footage and leave? Fair. Honestly, I almost did. But then someone commented this. Don't confront, perform. That hit me like a truck. Because yeah, I didn't want closure. I wanted consequence. I wanted her to feel what I felt. That creeping, sick twist in your chest when your world doesn't fit anymore. So instead of confrontation, I've got a little performance planned. And it starts with a birthday. Heron this Friday. She's throwing a party. Family, friends, her coworkers. Darren's invited. You'll want to hear what happens next. Friday. I hadn't shaved in 3 days. My eyes were bloodshot from running on caffeine, stress, and petty rage. But I wore my best shirt, ironed it, tucked it in, polished shoes even. Because tonight wasn't about breaking down. It was about putting on a show. Lauren's birthday party was exactly what you'd expect from someone desperate to look like she had it all together. String lights in the backyard, cheese platters from Whole Foods, jazz playlist curated by Darren, of course, and a rented outdoor heater because people feel wealth, even if it's subtle. She'd gone all out. New dress, hair blown out, red lipstick that matched the wine she poured into oversized glasses. It was a curated dream, her curated dream, and I was about to paint it with gasoline. The plan was simple. I didn't say a word, didn't hint, didn't smirk, didn't touch her unless I had to. I mingled. I smiled. I played the doting husband, laughing with her sister, helping her mom carry in dessert. Then, halfway through the party, I stood in front of everyone and raised my glass. Hey, can I just say something real quick? I said, clinking my wine glass with a spoon like we were at a goddamn wedding. Everyone turned, even Darren. He was leaning by the fence, sipping an IPA and trying to look like he wasn't 5 seconds away from pissing on his own shoes. I just want to say how proud I am of Lauren, I began, voice steady. This past year has been a lot. New job, balancing the kids, this beautiful party. Honestly, I don't know how you do it all. People smiled, nodded. Lauren looked touched. She thought I was about to make some sentimental toast. But you know, I continued, tone shifting slightly, the real test of character is how we act when we think no one's watching. The crowd quieted. Lauren's smile faltered. I felt her eyes digging into my temple, trying to read me like a warning label. So tonight, I said, I figured I'd show you all how amazing she really is, with a little highlight reel. I pulled out the remote. The projector screen, meant for playing a slideshow of old family photos, flickered. Then it lit up, with the footage. Lauren on the couch, Darren beside her, their knees touching, her hand grazing his arm. The laughter, the whine, the lean-ins, gasps. One of her friends muttered, "Is that Darren?" Her mom said, "What is this?" And Lauren, she froze, didn't speak, didn't blink. I watched her turn from human to porcelain right in front of everyone. And then I said, "That was last Saturday, our living room, while I was supposed to be out of town visiting my uncle." Dead silence. Someone dropped a fork. I let it sit. Then I clicked to the next slide, a screenshot of her message. If I weren't married, this would be a very different conversation. And then the final screen. White letters on black, "I deserve better than a placeholder." I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just placed the remote on the table and turned to Darren. "You can have her now," I said. "Hope it's everything you remember." Then I walked out, left her standing in the spotlight of her own betrayal, left Darren staring at the floor like it had answers, left the guests, her family, her co-workers, her curated audience, scrambling to make eye contact with anyone but her. By the time I hit the front lawn, I could hear her yelling, screaming. Someone tried to follow me, but I didn't stop, because I'd already won. I didn't ruin her life. She handed me the match. I just lit the fuse. By the time I got home that night, well, to the Airbnb I'd been quietly living in for 4 days, the group chat was already melting down. Texts, missed calls, voicemails, from everyone. Her sister, "Tyler, what the actual hell?" Her mom, "Please call me. We need to talk before things get worse." Even Darren tried calling. Twice. I let it ring, both times, just to feel the petty satisfaction of watching it go to voicemail. Lauren? She didn't call, not once, but she sent me a wall of text that started with, "I don't even know who you are anymore," and ended with, "You humiliated me in front of my family. I will never forgive you for this." Yeah, not, "I'm sorry." Not, "Let me explain." Not, "What I did was wrong. Just you made me look bad." And that, folks, was the final nail. Because it confirmed what I already knew. Lauren didn't feel guilt. She felt exposure. She wasn't sorry for Darren. She was sorry she got caught on tape. Let me be very clear about what followed. She spiraled. Fast. 3 days later, I got a call from HR at her job. Apparently, someone, definitely not me, had anonymously emailed the company video snippets of their employees getting a little too collaborative after hours in the office break room. Not my footage, but somehow it surfaced. Darren got put on immediate leave. Lauren? They moved her to remote assignments until further notice. She called me the next day, crying. First time she'd reached out directly since the party. I didn't pick up. She texted, "Please, just talk to me. I'm losing everything." And I felt nothing, which scared me, honestly, because for 10 years, this woman had been my world, my mornings, my midnight laughter, the mother of my children. And now, her voice in my head was background noise. Then came the big one. She showed up. I'd warned the front office at the Airbnb, told them not to let anyone up, but somehow, she found the code. I opened the door, and there she was. Makeup smudged, hair a mess, holding one of our wedding photos like a prop in a tragic play. "I just want to talk," she whispered. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. "Don't," I said. She flinched. Then she exploded. "I can't believe you did this. You've ruined my reputation, my career, my life." And I just stared at her. Because this wasn't a woman begging for love. This was someone watching their mask slide off and blaming the mirror. "You did that," I said. "You. Not me. You." And then, she slapped me. Right there in the hallway like a bad soap opera. It wasn't even hard. More insult than injury. But it snapped something. I stepped back, kept my hands down, and looked her in the eye. "Thanks," I said quietly. "You just made the custody part easier." Her eyes widened. "You wouldn't." "I would." Because here's what she didn't know. While she was busy playing house with her past, I'd been preparing for our future. I'd already hired a lawyer, filed temporary separation, frozen our joint accounts, removed myself from the mortgage, even opened a private college savings fund for the kids, with sole control. Oh, and I'd already emailed the school and pediatrician to update emergency contacts. She didn't just lose her image, she lost access. And that was sweeter than any revenge I could have planned. But the story's not over, because then the calls started coming from Darren's wife. Update 2. Okay, I was gonna wait. I really was. Let things settle, let people absorb. But some of y'all in the comments, you knew. You knew. You called it before I even saw it coming. So yeah, buckle up. Because remember how I said Darren had a wife? Turns out, she didn't know either. Well, not until I told her. See, after the slap incident in the hallway, which, yes, I reported, document everything, people, I went back inside, shaking. Not from fear, from pure disbelief, from the full-body realization that I had no idea who the hell I'd married. And while I was pacing that room, still hearing Lauren's voice echo in my skull, I got a message on Instagram from an account named at Not Darren's Girl. It was his wife, Claire. She found me through a mutual tag on one of Lauren's old birthday posts. Said she recognized Darren in the video someone had leaked from the party. She sent this first message. Is this real? Please tell me this isn't what I think it is. I didn't respond. I called her. We talked for 90 minutes. I told her everything. Every text, every meeting, every pixel of that footage. And you know what she did? She laughed. Not because it was funny, but because, as she put it, I always knew it would be Lauren. Turns out Darren and Lauren had history that went deeper than she ever admitted. Like, affair while I was deployed deep. Claire told me they'd slept together 6 years ago. When Lauren was still on maternity leave with our second kid, Darren had shown up to their apartment drunk, crying about his marriage, and guess who comforted him? Claire forgave him back then. Thought they moved on. Clearly they didn't. So Claire went full Phoenix mode. She didn't just leave Darren. She exhumed every skeleton in that marriage and dragged them out into daylight. Told his family, told their friends, called his boss. She posted a full timeline of their affair on Facebook, screenshots included. Tagged Lauren. My favorite line? My husband didn't lose his job. He threw it away chasing someone else's wife. I didn't ask her to do any of it, but I can't lie. It felt like cosmic backup, like the universe saying, you don't have to burn this down alone. Here's someone with matches. And Lauren? She spiraled. Again. Sent me this insane string of texts the next day, accusing me of conspiring with Claire, of weaponizing women against her. No, Lauren. You weaponized yourself. You treated people like collateral, and now you're shocked that the wreckage isn't quiet. You wanted to live in the past? Now you're stuck in it. And me? I've never felt lighter. The kids are with me full-time right now. We cook pancakes, we paint rocks, we walk the dog. And for the first time in months, my home feels safe. Like it breathes with me instead of suffocating me. I don't know where Lauren's staying. I don't care that chapter is closed. But Darren? Let's just say he's dealing with more than unemployment. I'll leave you with this gem Claire sent me last night. Tell Lauren thanks. She gave me the freedom I needed and the receipts I didn't know I had. Mike, dropped. One more part coming. The epilogue. You'll want to see how this ends. There's a weird kind of silence after the storm. Like your ears are still ringing, but your body finally stops bracing for the next hit. That was me. A week after update 2. For the first time in, God, maybe years, I could breathe without second-guessing it. My house felt like mine again. No more wine glasses left half full on the counter. No scent of her perfume trailing in hallways. No more Darren echoing in our walls. Just me, my kids, and peace. But then, the letter came. Handwritten. Folded in half. No return address. It was on lavender paper, the same kind Lauren used for thank you notes back when we got married. Inside, 2 things. A note, I was wrong. About everything. But especially about you. I was just so bored, Tyler. And that wasn't your fault. That was me. Darren was the wrong escape. But I felt like I was suffocating and I didn't know how to say it without sounding ungrateful. I miss our life. I miss our family. I want to come home. A Polaroid of our wedding day. The one where we're laughing, forehead to forehead. The one I kept in my wallet for 6 years. Until I threw it in the trash after the party. She dug it out. That's what broke me. Because that Polaroid, it still had a faint coffee stain on the corner. From the day I spilled Starbucks on it in year 2 and tried to dry it with my breath like it was holy scripture. She kept it, dug it out of my trash, like some symbol of hope or delusion. Either way, it didn't matter, because 3 days later, I filed. Divorce. Full. No negotiation, no mediation, no second act. I didn't text her, didn't respond when she called crying after the papers hit her inbox, didn't answer when she left a voicemail saying, I'm not a bad person, I just made a mistake. No, Lauren, you didn't make a mistake. You made a choice, repeatedly. While sober, while lucid, while raising our kids in a house you turned into a goddamn lie. But here's where it turns. Because the day after the filing, I got a message on Facebook from someone named Sadie. Said she was Claire's cousin. She wrote, Hey, just wanted you to know, you're kind of famous in our group chat. Claire says you're the most unhinged gentleman she's ever met. She means it as a compliment. I laughed. Harder than I had in weeks. We talked. Sadie's funny, smart, sharp as a knife. Works in non-profit disaster relief of all things. Told me she once boxed up relief supplies while crying over a breakup and accidentally sent a case of Sour Patch Kids to a hurricane shelter. We've been talking ever since. No expectations. Just realness. And for the first time, I don't feel like someone's backup plan. I feel like a person again. One more part left. Let's land this story the way it deserves. The last time I stood in our driveway, her driveway now, I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I wasn't even numb. I was free. I was dropping off the last box of shared items Lauren had demanded back through her lawyer, mostly stuff I'd already emotionally torched. photo albums she never opened, a college sweatshirt of hers I used to wear when we'd binge Netflix and think love meant sharing a blanket. Inside the box on top I placed the Polaroid, but I wrote something on the back before I gave it to her. Not a threat, not a lecture, just this. You didn't ruin our family. You just removed yourself from it. Thank you. And I meant that, because what I had now, it was mine. It was real. The kids, they were thriving. My daughter stopped asking why mommy cried in the bathroom. My son started sleeping through the night again. I took them to the aquarium last weekend, and my daughter looked up at me and said, "Daddy, you're fun again. Fun dot again." That almost wrecked me, but in the best way. As for Lauren, word got around. She had to move out of her firm entirely. Darren, he tried to salvage things with Claire, but she was already renting out his man cave as a meditation space for recently divorced women. Legend. The kicker? A mutual friend told me Lauren went on a date recently with some divorced dentist, and apparently halfway through dinner, he asked what her biggest regret was. And she said, marrying someone who never gave me chaos. Chaos. That's what she wanted? Then I guess my final gift was giving her exactly that, because she'll never be able to tell the story of her life without telling mine, without remembering that night under the string lights, when I set her reputation on fire with nothing but a wine glass and the truth. And I'll tell my kids the story one day, not to scare them, but to teach them that love isn't about surviving someone. It's about choosing peace every damn day and refusing to be someone's placeholder while they dream about someone else. And me? I'm not a placeholder anymore, and I'm the main character. Thanks for coming on this ride with me, Reddit. See you in the sequel.